Hello from me, Alan Biggs. Welcome again to the Ref Show. Haven't got anything to talk about this week, have we? We've got 20 minutes to fill. I wonder how we're going to do that. Back after the FA Cup, our Premier League referees, but I think by common consent they did well, but back with the wrong sort of bang in the Premier League. Major errors I've counted in double figures, 4 or 5 in just one game. Well, we ask, how have standards got so low? And is there a case, in the words of Keith Hackett in one of his blogs on You Are the Ref, to persuade or try to persuade Howard Webb back to the middle? Joined by Mark Halsey and David Hirst with plenty to discuss this week. Mark, it's fair to say not just a bad day in the office, but several offices.
Yeah, it's disappointing because obviously I've been there, I've been in their shoes, and I know what it's like to make these errors, and while we can't make excuses for them, they are high-profile errors, especially. I mean, we'll come to the ones at Chelsea, but I do generally feel sorry for the referees. I think a lot of them are lacking in confidence, and that comes from the management. And once again, I keep going on about it. This is the evaluation system they work to.
Right. Well, we'll talk about that, but before we start, hands up. This programme, and indeed You Are the Ref, preaches accountability on the part of the PGMOL and on the part of individual referees. We always do that. It's only fair that we should apply it to ourselves. So if you remember a fortnight ago on the Ref Show, Newcastle 1, Stoke 1, we took the referee to task on a particular incident there, but due to a mix-up in my notes for the programme, we got the wrong referee. It was Kevin Friend. We said it was Chris Foy. So Chris, sincere apologies for that error. I should say that, Chris, you haven't asked for an apology, neither has the PGMOL, but on this programme we consider it's only right and proper that we make one. So, Chris Foy, and I'm heading to the conference.
Is that a yellow or is it a red, Hirsty? What's
it's a definite yellow.
Yeah, okay,
definite
but yeah, we'll give that.
I'm going to say, if you give me a red, I can leave you boys to it. I wanted a red. As it is, I've got to go to a conference game somewhere this coming weekend, it would seem.
Been banished, have you?
As punishment, yeah.
Hey, I've been there many times, mate, and I've made a mistake, so don't worry about that.
Well, talking of Chris Foy, as we were there, on a positive, he refereed Manchester City 5, Newcastle 0. Referee has to be switched on from the first minute, and crikey, there was a penalty immediately.
Yeah, it was what we call a nailed-on penalty, and I mean, it was a good game for Chris. It was an easy game, but I mean, listen, I shouldn't say there's no easy games in the Premier League, but I mean, it was easy enough that there wasn't too many major decisions. So, and the players were good for Chris, and they made it easy for him. So, but no, well done, Chris.
Hursty, there must have been many times when you thought you should have had a penalty in the first minute of a game, and you instinctively thought he's not going to give it because it's too early.
But back in the day, I mean, we had people like this guy here refereeing, and they weren't switched on from the first minute, were they? But no, yeah, of course, yeah. But it's great to see that. You know, he's gone out of the blocks and straight made a decision, yeah.
OK, well, we're coming to the big story, Chelsea and Jose Mourinho shortly. But first, Southampton 0, Liverpool 2. This was Kevin Friend, and, well, 3 penalty claims, at least a couple of which should have been given to Southampton there.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the first shout, I thought he got absolutely spot on. I didn't think it was a penalty. You know, when you get players side by side and then sort of go down, I think he went down too easy. I thought he got that spot on. The one, the foul by Joe Allen, I thought was a penalty, and I also thought the one, the Fonte on Sterling, you know, it does show he's got a little nick on the ball, but he's absolutely wiped him out. But having said that, I thought Kevin tried to referee to the conditions. It was very tough for Kevin. I mean, especially when you've got that rain absolutely hammering down all the game, and so I thought he tried to take the conditions into consideration. So you know, I think it's a bit unfair that the criticism he received, but obviously it's all about getting the big decisions right, and people will say that he's most probably got 2 wrong in that game.
2 wrong or 3 right. You know,
yeah.
It's as simple as that. I mean, looking at it at the sharp end of the game, you know, he's everybody's entitled to go down on that on the first one.
Yeah.
I think we had a little shout off Big Sam saying, you know, players are entitled if they get it or not.
Yeah. Let's come to that.
You know, so I think me watching it on TV, the 3 incidents, first time seeing penalties.
Right. And
watching again, maybe alter my opinion.
Okay.
Referees don't have that situation.
So some consideration there to Kevin Friend in that game. Jonathan Moss was the referee of the game you referred to, Tottenham 2, West Ham 2. A very late penalty. Harry Kane for Tottenham won the penalty and took the penalty and scored. A view on what you thought about that, and also this comment from Sam Allardyce, the West Ham manager, among comments. He says, I'm not blaming him, that's Kane, for going down, because he was touched. West Ham should do more of that. We're an honest team. We're not getting rewards for our honesty. That's Big Sam.
So what is he saying then? You know, we've got to start doing a bit of the cheating and pulling the wool over the referee's eyes?
He appears to be.
Exactly, and that's not the way we want to go forward, surely.
No, we don't. But I think the point is understandable. He's sort of saying, yes, it was a penalty. So where is the line here, Mark?
I think what Sam's saying there is that the game had finished. The game had finished, and it needed a brave referee. Yes, when a game's finished, at the end of time, there is a penalty in that space of time. You have to take the penalty. You have to allow extra time for the penalty. But once the penalty is taken, it's scored or it's saved. That's it. Game ends. The referee should blow his final whistle. So what Sam was saying there, John Moss should have been stronger. Because when he's got, obviously the game's over. When he's got back to the centre circle, he's blown his whistle. And what he should have done was just played on for a bit more. But I mean, for me, any learning point from there, from any young referee watching our show, is on that situation, pull the Tottenham captain over and say, look, listen, time's out. It's extended time because that's what law says we have to take the penalty. If he scores or he misses, the game is finished, irrespective of what happens after that. And then nobody complains. And then what you're doing is you're managing the game, you're managing the situation, and you're managing the players.
What about the point about the penalty itself? There was contact.
It's contact. It's quite entitled to go down.
And Sam's not disputing that whatsoever.
I mean, and when a forward is in front as a defender like that, and you go down, it's 9 times out of 10 it's a penalty.
Well, I've got to say, if a player in that situation, he's going to ask the referee a question and make a decision. I've done what I've done. You're going to make a decision. There were a few incidents over the weekend that I saw that where people have gone over, not being given, and no cards or anything. Now, where's the diving part of it gone?
Well, Sam's suggesting that his players are too honest.
Well, you say that. I mean, I thought that Noble was very lucky to stay on. Obviously, the second challenge on, I think it was on Vertonghen, I think it was. He's come straight through the back of him. Was a mandatory yellow card. John Moss didn't issue it. Now, John Moss has got himself in trouble because Noble's first yellow card for me was so cheap. He could have managed it. Yes, there was a little shirt tug, but he had players around him. He wasn't stopping a promising attack. So for me, he could have managed that situation instead of getting a yellow card out, and then no one would have complained had he cautioned him for the challenge in the centre of the park. But then that led to Vertonghen pushing Noble over to the floor, and obviously we'll come on to that with Matic in a while.
We can come straight onto it, David. I mean, Chelsea won, Burnley won. Martin Atkinson at the centre of this big furore here. List the main incidents for us, Mark. Here.
Well, so you got the first challenge by Barnes on Ivanovic by Barnes in real time. I think everyone would have accepted a yellow card. But having said that, when you see it in slow motion, every challenge looks worse in slow motion. You wouldn't argue if he brought out a red because there was no difference with that challenge when everyone was screaming at. I think just before Christmas, where we had Everton Man City, where I think. Etu got one in the back, from a Man City defender. So, with that respect, I think he was lucky. I think the first penalty shout for handball was absolutely nailed on. He's making himself bigger. He's in an unnatural position. He's put his arm up to stop the ball. I think that's a penalty. I can't understand why Martin's not giving that. I think Costa. I mean, he's come under a lot of criticism this season about the way he goes down, and there's been a few times where he hasn't got penalties. Starting the season at Burnley, he got cautioned for simulation against the Burnley keeper. That was a nailed-on penalty. Should have had a penalty against Liverpool in the Capital One semi-final, and I think he should have had another penty on Saturday because there was two incidents. There was the push, and obviously he wrapped his legs around him. So, and again, Martin's in a great position, fantastic position, and then obviously we go on to, the awful challenge. I mean, Martin will feel upset that he's missed it, but we've all been there. I've been there, and I can understand, how Martin will feel. But it was a career-threatening challenge, and I can fully understand Matic's retaliation. His reaction and retaliation. I think anybody would have done that. But I thought he controlled himself very well, to be honest. And he's not that sort of player to retaliate. He's not. I've refereed him a few times, and he doesn't retaliate.
He knows the challenge, how bad it could have been.
He knew how bad it was.
Not how bad it was, how bad it could have been.
A human nature reaction.
That could have finished his career.
Without a shadow. But
and the reaction that he gives there is, hey, we don't condone it, but hey, when somebody gives and it goes,
you'd have reacted the same.
More than likely, and I'd have probably still been there now doing it.
Yeah.
Because I would have had something to settle.
So he gets a red card. You say it should have been a yellow.
Yeah, I think for me, Martin Atkinson is called. It's down to him that piece there. I think he's not managed that very well, and also going on to matches, he's not managed that well, because for me, we've always been told. Okay, I know he ran at him, but we've always been told a push below the neck, or the throat, a push is a yellow card. It's adopting an aggressive attitude towards an opponent. Now, was there any violent conduct there? I didn't see that. I saw an.
But he hurtled towards him, didn't he, at pace?
Yes, he hurtled, and he pushed him in the back.
Conduct was on the other tattle.
Which was missed.
He's contributed to that incident. Okay, so we look at that. Okay, so for me, it's adopting an aggressive attitude towards opponent, not violent conduct. But then we go back to, I just said Vertonghen with no ball. What's the difference? And John Moss didn't take any action whatsoever.
So it's the consistency again. You'd hope that the delegate, I mean, Keith Hackett has pronounced on this performance one of the worst performances he's seen in the Premier League, but some sympathy to Martin Atkinson for the background that we're going to talk about, the fact that he'd been in Europe just 2 or 3 days previously. But you'd think that whoever, because there's no assessment system now. It's an evaluation system, but there would have been a delegate there at the game, wouldn't there?
I understand it was a chap called Steve Greaves.
Right.
And from whether I'm right or wrong, I have been told that he backed Martin Atkinson on all 4 decisions. Whether that's right or wrong, I can't confirm.
So this is the official report?
This is one of the delegates' report on the game. I find it hard to believe that the delegates, Steve Greaves, has actually backed him on these decisions. But I'm not excusing Martin, but you go back to what we just said about in Europe. Yeah, I mean he's out refereeing Schalke and Real Madrid. And
this was on the Wednesday.
That's right. He travels out on Tuesday, referees a game on a Wednesday, finishes about 11:15. Then you're taken back for dinner at the hotel. Then you're not getting back to bed till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning because you can't sleep because the adrenaline's going.
No, it's because you're out at dinner. Don't forget.
You do have a few drinks. Do have a couple of drinks.
Unwind, fair play.
Unwind, and that's natural.
Let the adrenaline.
And then he's travelling back. Thursday, gets home late Thursday afternoon, early Thursday evening, and he's got to pack his bags again and then drive down to London for the Chelsea game.
Difficult as a player, David?
Well, I've been there as a referee.
Difficult as a player?
As a player, at the end of the day, that is your job.
Yeah,
I mean, I totally understand what Mark's saying.
He's mentally tired, he's fatigued.
Maybe a game on the Sunday might have helped him out a little bit.
Absolutely.
Extra 24
give him
hours.
a bit more power on that. But,
but unlike players, he's got to make his own travel arrangements and travel plans.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'd be either stuck on a private jet or on a coach, or we'd have been taken to the game, looked up, checked in. He has to do all that himself.
I'm leaving
on a jet plane. Let's not get into the singing. Go on. But yeah, I mean, it's a situation that we can look at that. Hey, the guy's not had a great game.
No, he hasn't.
And bear in mind, are we looking at Jose is going to raise all the issues he can, but at the sharp end of the season, aren't we? Anything.
But he should not be punished, surely, by the FA, because anybody's entitled to honest criticism of anybody else in a professional sport.
And anybody's entitled to honest mistakes. Now, if he's missed a few situations, then he's got to stand up and be counted. And
it's only the integrity aspect.
This is why I have a problem when we demote them and what have you, or whatever is said. What we've got to do is say, okay, let's have a look at the next one.
What was it? 31, 33, 40, 43, 69. I'm doing those numbers for me.
And then he turns up on Sky the next day, invites himself into the studio. You never quite know what he's going to do next, but that's the magic of the man in some ways.
Well, that's why it's called the special one. He's fantastic for the game.
But it must be daunting for the referees to go and referee his games now, because he's become Alex Ferguson had a little spell of it, where he wanted to pick the referee that refereed his games. Jose's, he's picked on that many referees now. There ain't going to be many left to referee him.
But knowing Jose, all he wants is honesty. Honesty from match officials.
Like he gives to reporters.
Well, he's got to be careful what he says because he gets charged.
Yeah.
All right. Talking about the midweek theme and European games, Mark Clattenburg had one. I'm not sort of casting any aspersions on his performance. It was Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 2. There was some arguments about the first goal, but actually it was on the line. I think with you know, the penalty.
It's a penalty.
And the second one, there was a linesman's call at the end.
Yeah, I think the assistant referee got that wrong.
Offside.
I think it's offside.
This was Giroud's goal for Arsenal.
I think it was offside.
Okay, so that's Mark Clattenburg also would have had a case for saying, well, you know, I could have done with an extra 24 hours.
Yeah, but I thought, obviously, it depends on the game. I mean, listen, Mark refereed very well, and I think Mark would be the first to say it wasn't a difficult game for him. You know, he didn't have too many big key matches.
But even so, what sort of input would a referee have on if you get called up, say, right, you're working Saturday, and you go, well, actually, I could do it another day.
Yeah.
Well, you might not be working that weekend.
You wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't be working that weekend, would you?
You wouldn't say that, especially
to both referees. You've got to say, well, they've took it on the chin and gone and done their best job.
Because if they did turn that game back, I know what the management are like. They wouldn't give you a game the following week, so you're not going to turn it down.
So you've got to go and do your job. Unfortunately, doesn't have a great weekend, and you can speculate whether it's to do with the midweek game.
Right. Some positive mentions. Roger East, Aston Villa 1, Stoke 2. I think a correct call for late Stoke.
Absolutely penalty. But the only question I have with that is why was it a second yellow card, not a straight red for a denial? It'd be interesting if had he been already caught, if he hadn't been cautioned, would he have given him a red or would he give him a yellow card? Anything
to bring to Neil Swarbrick's attention? Swansea 2, Manchester United 1?
No, I thought so. To be honest, I think Neil's coming along nicely. You know, I think he suffered in his early days, but as I say, all new referees take time to bed into the Premier League, like as you do as a player, doesn't he? So I think Neil's, he seems to be coming along quite nicely.
We're going to come to Sunderland and Mike Jones in a moment, but Everton 2, Leicester 2, Phil Dowd. Ref Cam said, there were no major issues that they took Phil Dowd to task for, apart from the comment he got away with poor overall positioning. That was a comment that was made there.
That's because of his age, his fitness. It comes to us all, and I think you have to know when your time's right to get up. Hopefully Phil knows that's coming. So
Sunderland 0, West Brom 0. This was Mike Jones. Joleon Lescott got away with pulling a player down, and could have been a red card early on there.
I don't think Mike Jones was going to give it. I think the assistants come in and give it. How much contact there was, I'm not sure it was even a foul. But having said that, once he's come in and give the foul, now the debate is Danny Graham going to regain control of that ball? So if Mike,
Lescott's been a little bit cute on it.
And if Mike's got any doubt, then he's going to show yellow. But I think Lescott was very, very lucky not to get a red card.
Lescott's asking the referee to make a decision.
Of course he is.
Incorrect call on offside later. Adam Johnson of Sunderland was wrong. Hull 2, QPR 1. We've got a couple of talking points before the end. That's Howard Webb, and also the difference between refereeing in the FA Cup and the league. So very, very quickly, Anthony Taylor here sent off Joey Barton for striking Tom Huddleston of Hull in let's say a very painful place. It's been suggested he could have nipped that in the bud, so to speak, with a yellow card before.
Yeah, I think Anthony's been refereeing well lately. He's done the Merseyside derby and the North East derby very well, and that's why he's got the Capital One Cup. So good luck to him at the weekend. Let's hope he has a cracking game. I think if you're nitpicking, I just felt perhaps Anthony could have just got that yellow card out a little bit earlier for Furlong to caution for the challenge, and that would have diffused that situation.
And there was a mass melee there. Both clubs could be charged for that.
But Anthony's got no option to send him off there for throwing a punch. No option.
The difference between the standards of these guys refereeing the FA Cup and the Premier League appears marked. Why is that?
I think the teams. The Premier League sides rotate their squad. I don't think the FA Cup ties are intense as the Premier League. There's not a lot on them, to be honest with you.
Certain games can be a bit fiery. Depending on the clientele playing in it.
Yeah.
But your Premiership, it's 100 mile an hour every weekend. Whoever's playing against who. You got your cup games slightly different. Albeit.
It seems to be a different mood around them.
And also, it's assessors and not evaluation systems.
Yes, as you've made the point before, and very, very well too. Howard Webb, you've got a guy who was last summer who decided to retire. He took a new job as technical director of PGMOL. He's only 43 years of age. Keith Hackett in his blog on youartheref.com makes the argument that Mike Riley should be trying to persuade Howard Webb to come back because the game needs him. Refereeing needs him.
Well, it's still open for yet, mate. Just like you, Sheffield Wednesday. We can all be back in. We can all be back in. I mean, if it opens the door for Howard, I think I'll throw my hat in as well. No, but seriously, I mean, I knew Howard was going to retire. I mean, we spent many nights together when we had our, away on our training courses at St George's, and I knew Howard was near in the end because I think he'd had enough.
So you don't think there's any way that he could be persuaded?
I don't think there's any way Howard would be persuaded to come back and referee. I mean, I'm taking a guess now. I don't think he's particularly happy at the moment. I think he's been shoved away in a cupboard, and the cupboard's been shut. Mike Riley's got him where he wants him.
So that's all the more reason to do a useful job.
Well, yeah.
No more useful than
I mean, I know he's away on an instructor's course with FIFA. Why is he not helping our referees? If he's away on an instructor's course for FIFA, that means he was looking to go and work for FIFA. We want him here.
We want him here to help the lads.
To help the lads, and that's what's happening. That's what's missing from our referees at the moment. They've got no coaches. There's no one. Like Martin was having a poor day at the office first half in the Chelsea game. Someone there, your coach there or your manager, you're straight down there at half time. You're putting your arm around him, just like managers do at half time to players. There's none of that. It's this evaluation system. There's no closure. There's no closure to the game because they don't get closure until I think on the Thursday or the following Thursday if they appeal what the evaluators have written. So there's no closure to the game.
Unfortunately, there is closure here. Thanks to these guys for the Ref Show this week. Don't forget, there's a special question time edition of the programme being filmed this week on Thursday night at Riley's Sports Bar, Piccadilly Circus area of London. And there are still tickets available for that. Appearing on the panel, Sam Allardyce, Guillaume Balaguer, and of course Mark and Keith from You Are the Ref. Be great to see you there in the audience. It's going to be a terrific show, that. And of course, we'll also additionally be back with another Ref Show next week. Bye.